All right, everybody, welcome back to our Steve Vai discography reviews and rankings that we're getting real close to approaching that ranking video. We got three more to go. And our third to last one, of course, we started with or stopped with 2005's Real Illusions Reflections last time. That was kind of introduced this kind of crazy concept that's supposed to be span out over a long period of time in a trio of albums, but we've not got the third one, as of this video. And who knows when it'll be done. Steve said he wants a significant amount of time to pass in between each one. So, we pick back up with that concept, this time on 2012's The Story of Light. And, it wasn't 10 years, quite like, because it wasn't even 10 years in between this one and, Real Illusions Reflections. So, and now it's been 10 years, since this release, and I mean, not exactly to the date, but 2012, and now we're in 2022. It's been about 10 years since we've seen, one of these in this trio of concept albums that Steve's supposedly gonna, release the final one too eventually. So maybe we'll see it as his next release. I know because he just released new albums, so I don't expect it anytime soon or anything, but maybe as his next release in a year or so. But as of now, yeah, we're talking about, he only had the one studio album in the 2000s with Real Illusions because, he was busy doing G3, doing all kinds of different stuff, and had a lot of live stuff going on. So that skips us all the way here to 2012 with The Story of Light. And it's kind of that same concept. Again, it's really hard to piece together, and Steve said it would be until, the third one's out. But it kind of follows the same trend of, like, someone searching for philosophy and what the meaning of life and all that kind of stuff. But, I mean, as far as, like, a full-blown narrative, I mean, I'm pretty lost as far as, I mean, you can read some of the stuff going on in here, really strange character names and all that, but it's kind of cool, and the music's what it's about on here, because we start off with the title track, The Story of Light, which is a really, really cool track that has like kind of this piano backing to it. And, Steve's just shredding over this piano, and they're like in perfect unison. Not playing the same things, but like as far as just like the timing of everything going on, and it flows beautifully together, those two. So that title track is definitely a solid opener here, and a big standout for the album. Then we hop on over to I'm probably gonna fail at pronouncing this, but Valorum, maybe? Velorum. I'm thinking it's Valorum. And man, this is one of those albums. I'll go ahead and say it. This is one of those that I haven't really gone back to a lot over the years. I mean, I've heard it maybe two or three times before going back for this re-listen. As opposed to like let's say some of these other ones that I've gone back to a lot over the years, over and over. So this one I haven't really gone back to a lot, and so I've kind of forgot about some of these tracks, just how damn good they are. And Valorum turned out to be one of my favorites off here with a heavy, heavy chugging riff going on here. I mean, man, it's another one of those like that Steve just kind of shows off that, hey man, I can give this thing some distortion. And it straight up sounds like almost like a Dream Theater track as far as like the guitar tone, like of a John Petrucci. Sounds like something Dream Theater would do off like their album Train of Thought or something. So that was a really, really cool addition to this album. Turned out being one of my freaking favorites. Then we got, classic vibe where you get a cool breakdown where it's just all kind of quiet going on, and he's doing some palm muting stuff. Just really, really, really awesome song that turned out to be one of my freaking favorites off here. Totally forgot about that song. So it just goes to show you the beauty of revisiting some of these ones that maybe you haven't revisited in quite some time. Then we go to the cover of John the Revelator, which is an old bluesy song, and it's pretty badass because, it kind of opens with like that original, like a sample of that original like old song. It was like, God, I don't even remember who it was by. It was like an old song, like probably 30s, 40s we're talking, And it's got this real kind of, gospel feel to it, real rural feel to it. Then you get Steve kicking in with just this brutal kind of riffing going on, and this really really cool. You get this I'm forgetting her name, but she's on here on a couple of tracks on and she does like the singing, this female vocalist, and just freaking nails it. Got a really soulful voice and just absolutely kills this cover. I mean, we don't get a lot of covers from Steve over, the course. He didn't even have a covers album. So, but, so we don't really get a lot of those. So it's really cool seeing kind of him do a cover on one of his main studio albums. And then that just kind of leads directly into the Book of the Seven Seals. That, like, it leads just kind of directly into it. And those two in paired are just incredible. It's just incredible stuff. And you really get to hear, on the Book of the Seven Seals, you really get to hear more of the shreddiness that Steve brings to the table, because he is doing a little bit of that on John the Revelator, but it's mainly like that blues riffage and stuff going on with the singing going on. And there's this whole like choir going on in the background singing with it. And it's just a really, really cool, really cool piece, those two. And I've always really, really liked those. Those have always really been standout. That's two of the tracks that really I definitely remembered from this album. Then we go on to, oh man, this one's a pretty one, Sickle Sunset. And it sounds exactly like what it's called. I'm talking, it sounds like you're sitting on the beach and there's like a creamsicle colored sunset. He's just playing with that Floyd Rose on that Ibanez Steve plays. And it's just, but on clean tones, so it's just really wavy sounding, and just really really pretty sounding. Got some really cool harmonics, of course, that Steve loves to do, that are always really pretty, and just throughout this thing, it's just it's almost like a soundscape, kind of like he had a track like that on the previous album that we looked at, Illusions Reflections. He had kind of a soundscapey album with Lotus Feet, and this is kind of something similar, but with a totally different feel to it, a really beachy theme, and I love it. It's just a really, really cool track to kick back and relax to. So Creamsicle Sunset is a definite standout here. Then we go on to track number 6, Gravity Storm, and again another one that sounds like what it's called, which is cool. And it's an instrumental. That's the beauty, is that even without vocals, you can have like a lot of people, if you've been following this at this point, you're probably into instrumental music yourself, but a lot of people, and I understand it's not for everybody, but just this song reminds me, a lot of, just Steve Vai in general reminds me of the fact that, instrumental music can have just its entire, they can have entirely different feels, each track, like whole albums of them, and just, you won't get bored with them. You listen to Creamsicle Sunset, whole beachy feel. You listen to Gravity Storm, it's just chaos, like shreddy stuff going on, and cool riffing, and some really cool pitch harmonics, and like this big noise-scape of even a little bit of wah-wah in there. I'm pretty sure I heard a little bit of that in there, and just all mixed together to make this just big amalgamation of, of guitar sound. Really, really cool stuff. And there's even at one point, it sounds like it's like spinning and like twirling into like a black hole. Really, really cool stuff. Really, really cool song. And that's another one I pretty much completely forgot about. Then we go on to Mulakatse. And that's another one that, I'll probably botch the pronunciation of it. And it's kind of a shorter little track here at, 3 minutes, 55 seconds. And it's just really another one of them, just really, really pretty ones. Kind of picks up on the same kind of thing from Creamsicle Sunset. Not totally leading into like that beachy kind of feel, but just really, really soft and with a really, really pretty melody on it. Just absolutely love that. But I would say it ranks a little bit lower as far as my favorite tracks off here, considering it is really short, but it does what it needs to do, and it's just a really pretty piece. Then we go on to, this one might be my favorite. Damn, what a unique track here, The Moon and I. Wow, you get some really pretty vocals from Steve at the beginning, and throughout this whole track, the bass is just really giving it it's just really heavy on here, you know, and leading the track, and it gives it almost this like gravitational space feel. Um, you know, not in the same way that Gravity Storm does, but like, you know, a good callback, or one of the things that like the bass on this makes me reminds me of is like, for instance, on like Iron Maiden's Final Frontier, you know, that opening kind of bass sound that sounds really really spacey. That's kind of what this bass does, and then like you can even when there's like some really really clean parts going on, that bass is still just kind of chugging along, making it seem like, you know, again, just like a spacescape, and it's just crazy sounding. That might just be my favorite freaking track off here. I remember really liking this one, but again, this is not one of the albums I really would go back and listen to a lot over the years. But now that I have, I'm rediscovering a lot of these that I'm like, oh damn, I forgot how awesome that one was. And The Moon and I might just take the cake for my favorite one because of just how complex, and the time signatures on it are just nuts. With that bass just going crazy, and you hear like some pretty licks going on from Steve, some you know, really really cool stuff going on there. Then we go to Weeping China Doll, track number 9, which is kind of a shreddy one, you know, really really cool track. Really reminiscent of something off Passion Warfare, kind of like maybe something like, let me think, not For the Love of God, not like an epic kind of feel, but more of something like, let me think, not quite as crazy as Erotic Nightmares, but maybe like, what, Love Secrets or something, that maybe like that track, with the kind of just riffage stuff and then just kind of shredding around, or really, it sounds a lot, maybe I'd compare it to something more off like Fire Garden with like Building the Church or something. That kind of is what it sounds more like the more I think about it. But because it's got like this just really really killer melody that's carrying it. That's kind of, you know, it's got like bends to it and really really cool stuff like that. There's this one part where everything's just kind of going silent, and then you've got like just this really really cool really really cool what do you call it? I'm drawing a blank on it. A palm muting. There's like it's kind of silent stuff going on. You hear like little drum sounds going on there, and then on the snare, and you just hear those. You hear that palm muting, and then just some more really pretty harmonics going on. Weeping China Doll's always been one of my favorites off here, and it pretty much remains that way as far as just a really really standout cool Steve Vai song that's a little heavy, and it's also got its really cool and softer parts to it. Then we hop on over to No More Amsterdam, and man, Steve and that female vocalist who appeared earlier on like John the Revelator do like a duet, and it's just freaking beautiful. Their voices really go well together. And you know that Steve, like I've said on the past couple, and as we've gone along in this review series, Steve's getting more and more comfortable with singing, and has been. You know, at this point, he's just full blown like, I'll do it. You know, no problem at all. And he does a damn fine job on this. You know, and you know, even testing the waters, like going as far as doing a duet with a female vocalist on here. Again, can't remember her name off the top of my head, but she's got a hell of a voice, really really bluesy kind of voice. But also she can, on this duet, they just both give it their all in a really passionate song. No More Amsterdam is just an incredible one. I love that main melody too for that one. Then we go to, oh, my bad, I skipped, after Weeping China Doll is Racing the World. That's probably my least favorite off here, actually. It's kind of like a faster paced one, just kind of, you know, shreddy stuff, a little bit of riffing going on here, but definitely the least memorable off here for me. It is one of the more up-tempo tracks that we see on this album, because there are a lot of slower tempo tracks on this album, which isn't a problem with me at all. It does have its moments where it picks up, but Racing the World is probably the fastest tempoed track on this album. But again, it's not too stand out for me. Then we go to No More Amsterdam, which I just talked about, and then finally Sunshine Electric Raindrops, which has got a really really cool. I love the title for one, and it's got a really really cool and kind of grand epic feel to it. To close out the album, not in the sense of like a really long track. I mean, hell, it's only 4 minutes 13 seconds, but it's just got like it's probably the synthesizers going on in the background, maybe just the tone that and the melodies that Steve's got bringing to the track that gives it like this really cool closing feel for this album, just to wrap it up. But also not one of my favorites off here, but still a damn solid track in a again, a great way to wrap it up. So yeah, we've got that's two out of this little concept trio. And maybe, and I hope Steve ends up completing it, because that would suck if he said it's in even the liner notes of the first of them, Real Illusions Reflections, that hey, this is supposed to be the first in a 3-part album series, blah blah blah. Here's the second part. We're waiting on that third part to drop someday. So hopefully, maybe it's his next release or something, because both Real Illusions Reflections, awesome record. The Story of Light, awesome record, and one that I forgot how awesome it was, because again, I just didn't really pick it up or haven't really picked it up as much as a lot of the other albums. So this one, there's definitely a lot of standout tracks here, and it also, that's the pair. It makes it pretty tough to choose between the two as far as which one's better. Of course, we'll figure out which one I end up going with when we rank them, but I'll just let you know I'm already having a little bit of a dilemma there, because they're both just really kick-ass records. Really impressed with this among this re-listen, with again tracks like Valorum and the title track. Creamsicle Sunset. There's just really, really interesting stuff. Both this one and Real Illusions, considering they are concept albums, are very, very interesting Steve Vai albums that they have their own identity to them. But yeah, guys, next time, we got 2 more album reviews for this Steve Vai stuff we're doing. We've got Modern Primitive that dropped in, I believe, 2016, if I'm not mistaken. We'll be looking at that next time. And then after that, finally, I'll get to talk about the newest record, In Violet, which I've been wanting to talk about, wanting to get it out there, what my thoughts are on it. And we'll finally get to do that after the next review, Modern Primitive. So pretty much what we've got coming up. We've got our Modern Primitive album review, In Violet album review, and then the big ranking of these albums. We've flown through here at a pretty solid pace. It's not the longest discography in the world, but it's definitely a pretty beefy one that just grew in the midst of us doing it. So I'm excited to get these things ranked and get these next couple reviewed. And then again, I always kind of hype it up a couple videos before until we get to it. During that ranking video, make sure you tune into that, because we will be announcing the next band we'll be doing, and this will be kind of, again, a little bit of a shorter. The only hint I'll give is it's a band with just 2 albums in it, so you can and it won't have a ranking video. It'll just have those 2 albums reviewed, and I'll just maybe say which one I like better of the 2 within those reviews. But yeah, stay tuned, guys. We got some fun stuff coming up here, and I'd love to hear what you guys think about this, and what you guys think about maybe your guys' interpretation of this whole concept thing Steve's got going on, and if you think he's good at it, or maybe you should just shut it down, or what. But anyways, yeah, stay tuned for the next time with Modern Primitive, and like, subscribe, and comment. Thanks, guys.